Zug dann bringt's wie scheinen prächtig a kleine süße Jid.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. Today we'll discuss the halacha in this week's Parsha, Parsha Shmini. Today we have the famous halachas telling us what's a kosher animal, what's not a kosher animal, later on the kosher fish. There's actually beautiful rishimas from the Rebbe where the Rebbe discusses the concept of the simanim, what they symbolize, the Avodas Hashem, the kaskasim, the ma'alagera, mafreses parsa, and it's very interesting to learn. But I want to discuss a point at the end of the parsha. The Torah says a very important statement. Lahavdil ben atomei ben atar, zois Torah sabehema v'oiv v'chol nefesh achaya remeses b'moyim. These are the rules. This is the Torah concerning the animals, the birds. Kol chaya and the remeses b'moyim, ulchol nefesh asheretzes al haaretz. Lahavdil ben atomei ben atar. It's to separate between what's tamei and what's tar. Ben achaya and the acheles and ben achaya shalei tarachol. What is allowed to be eaten and what is not allowed to be eaten. It seems to be very, after learning all the dinim, it seems to repeat, there must be a hidden point here. And Rashi tells us something that's pretty powerful. Rashi says, Lahavdil, loy bilvad hashoina, it's not enough for you to learn these halachas and know and possibly be aware that there are these simanim, and this is what makes a kosher animal, this is not kosher fish, etc. It's important, it's a mitzvah to be clear and be baki what is kosher and what is not. Now I don't know how many people would be able to go to a farm or go to a fish hatchery and know exactly what's a kosher fish and what's not. They haven't studied enough. And Rashi says it's important umakir ubaki behem. One of the classical arguments that are brought in Sifrei Achronim about the behema or the chaya. Incidentally, the chiluk from behema and chaya is many halachas. The behema is typically translated as a domesticated animal, and a chaya is not. And you clearly have to know what category it falls into. Legabe the dinim of kisir dam, legabe the dinim of chelev. There's so many different halachas. If it's a behema, it's one din. If it's a chaya, it's another din. Even concerning basar b'chalav, there's a machlokes. There's a chalukah between basar of a behema with chalav or chaya, basar chaya, which perhaps is only with the rabbanon. But one of the classical known discussions about the simanim that we know, that it's male geira, mafreses parsa, split hooves, and chews its cud, is the question that's discussed about the giraffe. What is the status of the giraffe? Is it a kosher animal or is it not a kosher animal? And you'll hear so many discussions about this. But what's the question? After all, if you know that it has these simanim, and it does have these simanim, it is malagera. Everybody could see, and everybody you'll ask, and they'll tell you that a giraffe is malagera. It chews its cud. You could see that it's mafreses parsa. So what's the question? It should be a kosher animal. And you might hear a lot of people mistakenly say, "Oh, the giraffe has such a long neck. They don't know where exactly the makom hashchita should be." Well, if you know hilchas shchita, that is not a correct answer to give, because al pi halacha, anywhere in the neck where the windpipe goes through and the kana and the veshet go through, anywhere in the neck is kosher for shchita. So if it has a longer neck, it obviously, in certain senses, is even better. There's a better chance that you're gonna cut through the right thing, the right area. So the typical answer that you hear, that you don't know where the makom hashchita is actually incorrect, not correct. So what is the discussion about the giraffe? So first of all, the Rambam says in Hilchos Maschalas Asuras Perek Aleph Halacha Ches, Ein lecha behema v'chaya sheba'olam shemutar ba'achila chutz me'aseres haminim hamenuyim b'Torah. There are only these 10 species that are mentioned in the Torah that will fall under the category of what the Torah allowed because it has the proper simanim. Shleisha mina behema, v'shiva mina chaya. There are 3 under the behema category, which he says is the shur, the seh, and the a's, the kevis. And then there's the shiva mina chaya. Now here is the catchy point. The shiva mina chaya is listed off a bunch of names, and for the typical person who grew up in a city, most probably can't relate to these names. Okay, a ayol, a tzvi, a yachmur, but then he says v'zemer. V'zemer. And the question becomes, what is the zemer? A lot of the Sifrei Achronim say zemer is as a giraffe. And the giraffe is the one of the 7 minei chaya that the Rambam says is permitted. And it's described in Absad Yagoin, Rabam Koirach, and Sefer Nevei Sholem, the Rashbats. They all hint that the zemer, which the Rambam is referring to, is the giraffe. So what's the discussion? So why do we find that the people are debating this issue? So, funny thing is that some people say that it could very well be that just the meat of the giraffe is not very tasty, and the giraffes are not found everywhere. So it became that you don't eat it, but it's not a halacha issue. But perhaps there's more to that. There's actually a machloikis hapaiskim between the shach and the Pri Megadim. If on top of the simanim, the fact that an animal has to have simanim, does it also have to have a mesorah? A mesorah means a tradition. Do we have to have a tradition that from generation to generation that people shechted this animal and ate it? According to the shach, just like the oifos, the birds, are decided mainly on the mesorah, on the tradition through the generations that we use a certain bird. So therefore we all know about the story, the din of the turkey, because turkey seems to have some cruel behavior, and the tradition was changed and people didn't eat it. It's all part of the mesorah. So even if it has the kosher simanim, if it's lacking the mesorah, the shach says that the din of the chaya is like the din of the oif. And if we don't have a mesorah and we don't see that throughout the generations they're eating it, you're not allowed to eat it, even though it's obvious that it has the kosher simanim. Whereas the Pri Megadim and the other poskim say, listen, after all, we don't find the concept of the mesorah as an issue. We only find it by oifus. We don't find it by chaya. And being that the giraffe has the simanim, it is a kosher animal. Yesh Shekayach. Please join us again next week.